In this video, I'm gonna have a little bit of fun testing out all these different methods to doing a vat clean. If you don't know what a vat clean is, well, if you have a failed print and you got it stuck in there, what you don't wanna do is empty this thing out and make a big mess. It's just a big pain. Instead, what you're gonna wanna do is use some of these tools. We got this one by Phrozen, this one by Lychee. We've got this piece of metal here by Wham Bam, and even some post-it notes and some tape. Now, if you stay tuned to the very end of this video, not only am I going to show you how to use all these tools, but I'm going to give you my very subjective opinion on which one I like the most, as well as a very objective information about how much each one of these costs, as well as how many times you got to run this guy in order to make up for using a piece of tape. That's right, we're going to use a piece of tape to run a vat clean in this video. So stay tuned to the very end. Now, because I'll be dealing with raw resin here, I'm going to be using gloves. And what I should be using is a mask, but I don't think you're going to be able to really understand me if I have a mask on this entire video. So I'm going to risk my health and safety for your entertainment. That's what it's like to live in the YouTube genre. And since I'm risking my life and limb for your entertainment, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And remember to share this video with anyone who you think needs it. Comment down below whatever you feel like commenting, and if you haven't already, join us on the Lychee Slicer Discord. So I've got some of this old resin here that is expired. It expired last year, and I just never got around to using it. So figured if I'm gonna waste resin, why not waste expired resin? In fact, I don't even think they come with the black label anymore. I think it's all like blue, so you can't even get this bottle anymore. It's a collector's. All right, let's add some resin, some Anycubic resin to my Anycubic printer. This is the Mono M5S, not a bad printer. So yeah, all right, let's add some resin in there. See how it always makes a drip on the top? I don't like that, but I got a thing for that. I don't think I can ever give you a video without giving you some random tips. One random tip is you always want a spray bottle with IPA, you know, some paper towels. So you can go through, spray it, and just kind of clean off your stuff. Now here's another kind of a interesting tip. If you ever shake a bottle with resin, there's gonna get, you know, resin at the top, and then when you put the lid back on, it's gonna slowly drip down. What I do to kind of prevent that is, I'll show you. These are little dental sticky things. I don't know what to call them, but they're basically dental sticker tape. And what I do is, I'll just put it over the lid right here. And that way, the next time I have to go and shake this thing, it's going to hit the tape, which I'll just replace next time I use it, because they're super cheap, instead of getting resin all down the sides. It's just something that I do. But anyway, moving on with the video. So first thing, when should you run a vat clean? Well, you should run a vat clean if you ever obviously physically see something in your vat, but what if you can't see it? What if you don't know you need a vat clean? Well, that's where you get a spatula here. And what you're gonna do is, I do this before every single print. I'll just run the spatula inside the vat. I'm mixing it up, but let's say I feel something like, oh, there's a little bump right there. I can feel a little bump. So that tells me, I guess I should probably run a vat clean just to see if there's something left in there. So the first method we're gonna use is probably the one that everyone uses the most, which is just some old supports. Now the advantage of an old support is, well, it doesn't cost you anything extra. You've already printed this is just garbage. The disadvantage of using an old support is that you're gonna wanna clean them first. It's like I clean my supports before I remove them. Some people don't. So you're gonna have to end up cleaning your supports, which is gonna put, of course, resin in your cleaning solution. And then I cure them for a little bit, and then you have to store them. And anyway, it's just, that's a little bit of the cons with it. The pro, of course, being that they're technically free because you had to print them anyway. And when you place this thing in the corner, make sure you don't put it right in the corner of the vat. That's because the LCD is actually slightly smaller than the vat and slightly smaller than the build plate itself. So you kind of want to put it just underneath the corner of the build plate, not all the way to the side of the vat. Let's go over and start this vat cleaning. Let's do 20 seconds. Hit exposure. I'm going to apply just a little bit of downward pressure on this thing, just to make sure it kind of really holds on to the resin as it cures around the old support piece here. Okay, so now that cure is done, let's try peeling it up and hopefully it sticks. That's one thing I don't like about this method is I've had it where it doesn't always hold really well. But this one seems to be coming up just fine. So you can see right here, this is that clean. So if there was anything in the vat, it would show up on this guy. Now, of course, this is where we get to pros and cons. Letting this thing drip can be kind of messy. You just kind of got to sit here and let it drip. Or what you can do is, what I like to do is just kind of curl it up, and I'm going to get my gloves dirty anyway. I'll rip off the old supports here and just throw them in the trash. I got the trash right here. And then I'll just kind of roll this thing up And I'll just squeegee it out just to get some of that back. That way I don't have to sit here and wait for it to drip because that just takes too long. My time is worth more than cleaning my gloves off from a little bit of resin. I'm also going to cure and weigh each one of these just to see which vat method uses the most resin. I know we're talking about like fractions of a penny here, but it's still some fun knowledge to know. Now, of course, I weighed these before I use this, so when I add them in here, I can just subtract that. When I do the math, it comes down to 14.7 grams for the support method. The next one I'm going to try is the Wham Bam Ulti M8. This cost about $12 online. All the prices I'm doing are minus taxes and shipping, as that's going to be different depending on where you're at. So, but yeah, about $12 for this one. What's nice about it is once you pay for it, it's kind of forever. It's also got this pattern on the bottom to give it a little bit more extra grip. So let's try this one out and see how I like it. Same thing here, I'm just going to put it a little bit in the corner, not completely in the corner. Of course, it's kind of larger, so that larger surface area is going to make it easier to make sure I get part of it on the LCD and part of it off the LCD. I will be doing a 20-second exposure on all these to keep it consistent. Generally, I do about 10 seconds when I run mine, but for this one, I'm just going to keep it 20 to make sure I don't accidentally get a fill here. All right, that one's cured up, so let's lift it up and see how it works. It's a little bit tight in there. The 20 seconds might be a little bit long. Let's see. Okay, we've got it. Can I let this thing drain without touching it? Ooh, it's a little floppy. Oh, not too bad. So I could probably just let it sit here and drip. Of course, I'm holding it to allow it to drip. Now, one of the cons of this one is that I have to clean it off after every vat clean. So not only do I have to remove this, but then I'm gonna have to clean off the tool and then store the tool. I mean, I guess you don't have to clean it off, but you probably really should. You don't want to get resin all over the place. Yeah, so as of right now, the resin's actually stuck in those grooves right there. I do appreciate the grooves to give it some texture, but now I got to kind of pick it out so I can weigh it, which is, or if you want to clean it. So we'll do that now, and hopefully it's not too difficult to get it out of those grooves. So I ended up getting this dental tool here that I sometimes use to just remove supports to kind of come in here and pick it out. And even then it's a little bit difficult to get this stuff out. I think maybe the 20 seconds was too much for this resin, but it wanted to do 30 and I turned it down to 20. So yeah, this is going to take me probably a couple minutes to get this all out. So I'll do that off camera. That took a little bit of effort to get all the little chips out, and a couple of them kind of flung across the room when I was pulling them out, never to be found again. So I'm trying to keep it as accurate as I can, but this one's missing a few of those little bits. But we'll weigh it anyway, and we'll see where we get to. This one's sitting at 16.4. So if you remember, the first one was 14.7. This one's 16.4. And of course, with this one, I want to give it a quick, just a little squirt of some IPA and just wipe it down real quick. That way I can store it where it's clean and get it ready for its next use. And as I use these, I'm going to put them kind of in a ranking list. Over on my right here is going to be the ones I enjoy the most, and the ones that I enjoy least are going to go on this side. This one, because it was hard to get them out and I have to clean it when I'm done, I'm going to put it down lower on the list, but we'll see as I do these ones if it moves up or kind of stays down towards that other side. The next one is the Lychee Cleaner. Now I calculated this thing cost about 5.3 cents to print. That's using a bottle of the Anycubic resin that right now goes for $28 a bottle. This weighs 1.9 grams, allowing you to print 526 of these out of a single bottle of resin. I'm going to use these just like the supports. I'm going to put it here in the corner, apply a little bit of downward pressure, make sure not to move it. I don't want to scratch up the release film. So just a little bit downward pressure and then run the vat clean. Okay, the vat clean's done. Let's peel it up. Let's see how it is to peel up. Pretty easy. Came right up. We'll hold it. See, this one, it's a little harder to hold with one hand and let it drip than this one was. This one, I think maybe because the size or something like that one and the way it folded on itself. Yeah, that's not working. So it looks like we're gonna have to go to the two-handed method on this one. We're just gonna squeegee it all out of there. All right, it's clean. Now I'm gonna cure it and weigh it. Now here we have the Lychee Cleaner. So if we, 17.3, we subtract the weight of the Lychee Cleaner, which is 1.9, that leaves us at 15.4 grams. So next, where does it rank? Well, this thing costs about 5.3 cents per use. However, you could reuse it, kind of like using this one, where you just rip it off, clean it, and cure it again, and it's ready to use again. If you care about that 5.3 cents per use, of course, this one's free, but even then, when it comes to actually using them, I'm going to rank this one a little bit above using the supports. If it had no cost associated with it, it would rank quite a bit above, but because there's a cost, I'm going to put it just a little bit above the old supports. And now it's time for the Phrozen one. Now, I've actually never used this one before, so this can be my first time, but these cost 6 cents per use because these are, you have to use both of them and they're consumable. These guys right here cost about 18 cents to print, but once you print them, they should last at least until they break, so it should last quite a while. But yeah, just know every time you use this, it's 6 cents plus the cost of the, the sheet as well. And the way these work is you just snap them on. Now, of course, I'm not necessarily know how much I trust the snaps here. So I think for me, let's see, can I get them snapped on without breaking them? It's pretty tight. It's actually really tight to snap them on. Let's see here. Don't want to push very hard because I don't want to snap them. Now, all of these are printed at 100 as well, including the Lychee ones. You want to print these at 100 because it adds like a texture in the bottom. When you print the stepping, adds a texture that you want. It helps it grip. And we'll do the bottom here as well. Again, this snap is a little bit tough. All right, there we go. Okay, I got those snapped on. Now, there's like a bend to these, and when I watched the video, it looked like the bend was kind of pointed a little bit in towards the center. So I'm going to try to do that as well. Just put one in each corner right here, and just make sure that bend is kind of towards the center. Again, that's what I saw in the video, so we'll see. So we've got 2 of them in there, and now let's start the vat clean and see how they are to use. Let's see, I'll apply a little bit of pressure on both of them. It's a little harder when there's 2. That's probably good enough. We'll let it finish running and then kind of show you how they work. All right, so the way these are supposed to work, and again, it'd probably be easier if I was in front of the printer, but you just peel them off, both of them. Come on. This one corner doesn't want to go. There we go. I guess the advantage is there's two corners, so if one doesn't peel up, you've got the other one. And then they're supposed to hook onto the build plate right here. Don't fall off. Don't get resin on my hand. And then they're supposed to just hang there. It feels sketchy, like it doesn't want to hang. Ooh, like that wants to come off. You gonna do it? It's there. I don't know how much I trust it. So the point of this is you just kind of let it hang there until the sheets dripped dry. That could take a while. It could probably take 15, 20 minutes. But, well, let's let it hang there until it drips mostly dry. So I let it drip for about 5 minutes. That's before I notice it's really not dripping anymore. There's still some kind of on the back there that, you know, if I let it drip some more, it might eventually kind of get out. But if I hold it, you know, one way or another, I can get a little bit more out of it. But I think over 5 minutes of it just sitting there hanging is enough time. So let's see what it's like to clean these off. Bring it over here. Get my hand out. Another little like pro tip are these lunch trays. They're really easy to clean. I used to use the silicone mats. I still put the silicone mats under the trays, but these things are so easy to clean off, unlike the mats. You can see I'm still kind of dripping even after letting it sit there for about 6 minutes. And that's just because when it's in this position, it creates like this little lip on the bottom that if I hold it on one or the other, it seems to drip off a little bit better. But anyway, so from here, what we want to do is we want to pull these off so that way the feet stay down. If we can, oh man, those are on there. Now the feet just kind of came off with it. So there we go. That foot is off. Let's see if I can do this one with the foot staying on there. There we go. So these things you're supposed to be able to reuse with new feet. Of course, I'm going to have to clean them because there's some resin on them. It'll be very similar to this one. You're just going to have to clean it off, or even similar to this guy where, you know, you're going to want to clean it off when it's done. So let's weigh this, weigh it, and see where it sits. So here I've got the Phrozen one. I left the pieces on there and I'll just subtract their weight from it. So it is sitting at 17.5 grams. Those 2 pieces by themselves weighed 2.1 grams, which puts us at 15.4 grams, which is exactly the same as the Lychee Cleaner, but I kind of squeegeed that one out real quick, and this one I let it hang for about 6 minutes in total. So let's rate where I put these ones. Actually, I'm going to put these ones all the way down at the bottom. I didn't really enjoy using them. I didn't enjoy trying to snap it on, snap it off. I'm not really going to enjoy printing these things and cleaning these things. It's kind of like a little bit of the worst of everything. Even though it wasn't as hard to clean as this one, using this was much easier because it was just like one thing and the weight of itself kind of worked. This one was just a lot more complicated. And in the end, the resin savings is worse than any, or like on par to worse with everything else. So I'm gonna put those actually at the bottom and the Wham Bam just in front. And that leaves us with the Post-it notes and the tape. Now the Post-it notes online are a little under $4 for 400, making them a little under a penny a piece, the cheapest so far. And for these ones, I just rip off one Post-it note. I like to just either fold it in quarters. I do this just to make sure I'm not having any like sharp paper edges that could potentially damage the release film. I'll just fold it a few times, kind of like that. And I'll just take my finger and I'll just kind of push it down in the corner here. This would be hard to do on camera. So I'll push it down in the corner, come over here to the Vat Clean. I'm gonna start my Vat Clean. Now I guess the downside of this one is my finger is in the resin, making sure the paper is making contact with the release film. I guess the good news on that one is I can kind of feel where it is. So I know it's making good contact. All right, that's all cured up, so we're just gonna peel it right out. There comes the Post-it note with the sheet of cured resin. Now again, what I do with this one, I'm gonna do the squeegee method with this one, just because again, I don't like to sit here and wait for it to drip. I know I could sit there and hold it and wait a long time. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna quickly squeegee it one way and then the other. And now let's cure it and weigh it. So I got the Post-it note one here. So let's first weigh this guy. That's 0.6 grams. Let's do this and then subtract this from that. 16.9, so 16.9 subtract 6 is 16.3. So 16.3 grams so far, the heaviest one so far. So where does the Post-it note rank so far? Well, it's got some advantages. One being it costs a penny. Two, I don't have to print, clean, and cure it to get it ready. And the next one is I don't have to recover or clean anything after I use it. I just kind of throw it away. The disadvantage, of course, is I kind of have to get my finger in the resin in order to hold it down. And so far it weighed the most, you know, not by much, but you know, we'll count everything. So right now where I'd put this one is, for me, and this is a personal opinion, I actually like it the best so far, mostly because nothing to recover, nothing to clean, nothing to print, and it's just really easy to use. And that leaves us with the very last one, the tape. And in case you're worried about the stickiness of this causing an issue with the release film, it's not. Just know the release film is designed to be pretty neutral to the point where all the chemicals in the resin and even IPA won't affect it. This non-toxic stickiness on this tape definitely does not affect it. And just like with the Post-it note, I'm just gonna take this, I'm gonna push it kind of into the corner right here with my finger and just hold it there. All right, now that the Vat Clean's done, all I have to do is take the tape, peel up on it in the corner, and it's gonna come right up. It's actually really easy to get in there. Because this one's kind of longer, I'm not worried about where the LCD is. I'm kind of just running it in there and then up the side. That way the chances of missing is basically zero. And here we go, we got the last one. I tried weighing a piece of tape, but it showed up as 0 grams on my scale, so I guess it's not accurate enough. We're gonna weigh this guy right here, and it's 15.5 grams, which is really funny because that's actually the weight of most everything else. Some of them I let hang for, you know, quite a while. Others I squeezed out really quick, and other, you know, like this one. And it's funny, the weight ends up being pretty much the same across the board. So I don't think there's a lot of resin savings per a Vat Clean, depending on the method you're using. And just because I know the type of people that watch these videos, it only took me 3 pieces of cloth to make this video. Generally, if I'm doing like one Vat Clean here and there, I'm just gonna reach in the bin and grab one I've already used and cured and clean off my gloves of any like resin that gets in there from like handling this stuff. So trying to calculate that cost in this whole video, I don't think is really worth the time to try to figure out what that's gonna be. So all I am left with is, where does the tape go in my entire lineup? Well, it's got some pretty big perks going for it. For one, it's the cheapest by far, at close to half a penny per a Vat Clean. I don't have to like print and prepare something to have on hand when I need to do a Vat Clean. I could just reach for the tape. And when I do the Vat Clean, I just throw it in the bin with everything else. The next thing I really like about it is how versatile it is. I can make it longer so I can really stretch in there and all the way to the edge to make sure I never miss a Vat Clean. I could run one on each side and lift it up that way if I really wanted to, but I don't really see the advantage. And there we go. So we got the tape as my S tier being 0.4 cents per a clean, followed very, very closely by the Post-it note being 1 cent per a clean. Then we got the Lychee Cleaner going at about 5.3 cents per a clean. Over to the supports, which are technically free because you have them anyway, but they're just kind of a pain to deal with, which is why they're down lower. Then we've got the Wham Bam, which starts at $13 per a clean, but of course the more you use it, the cheaper it gets. So you have to use this 6,000 times before it starts to become cheaper than the tape. Actually cheaper than the white tape, not the blue tape. For the blue tape, it would be 3,000 times. And that leads down at the very bottom, the Phrozen one, which costs about 6 cents per run. That's the cost of 2 of these little circles here. Of course, if these things break, they were a little hard to take on and take off. If these things break every so often, you have to reprint them. So that 6 cents is kind of the minimum. It has potential to go up from there. And that sums it up for this one. But if you could, comment down below whether you agree with my lineup or my methodology on how I discovered what I think is the best tool to clean out your vat in your Resin 3D printer. And as always, thank you for watching, and have a good day.